This is The Foundation, stories from people who build things, products, services, businesses, how they started, what they're doing now, and where they're going.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ted Eckworth of Artaic. How are you today? How's Boston today?
Oh, good afternoon, David. Um, Boston's lovely today. We finally got a spring day here. It's April 10 and it's in the 60s, which has been some of the warmest weather we've seen this cold winter, and it's sunny.
Good. Well, time to thaw out, right?
Yeah, we're all ready for it up here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And I want to start with maybe it's obvious to you and to many people, but I like the name Artaic because I'm going to presume it's a great portmanteau of artistic mosaic. Is that kind of obvious, or
Yeah,
is
that's
that
kind of
something that people ask?
obvious. Yeah,
Yeah.
we back in the day when we were coming up with names, we just batted around a bunch of ideas. We were startups, so we weren't paying a branding firm to come up with the ideal name, and we came up with Artaic. We liked it. It suggested something classic and maybe even European. That sense of mosaic being this sort of heritage art form, um, and so we just went with it.
Good, good. Well, it is a heritage art form, and I think we'll get a chance to talk about that in a minute. But before I do, as is the name of this conversation, the foundation, go ahead and give me the foundation of Arte.
Yeah, it's a very unusual story. My background is in science and mechanical engineering and aerospace, and did my PhD out west and was at NASA doing space telescope development and such things. And I got into entrepreneurship and spinning technologies out of academia into new technology startups, and decided I wanted to do one myself. And so I was like, what would be interesting to pursue? And, my upbringing, my father was an entrepreneur and my mother was a commercial artist. So I think I had sort of a natural disposition or to be an entrepreneur didn't seem so unusual when you come from a family, um, of entrepreneurship, and to do something in the arts. I've also always had a fascination for the art form of mosaic, tile mosaic. The medium I have a particular fondness for because it's so physical, so tangible and long lasting. As a mechanical engineer, I tend to lean towards more tangible sorts of engineering. And so I said, well, I'll apply my technological background into this and see if I can create a design tool that a creative can use and a robotic assembly system that could do the assembly and make it far more efficient and accurate and faster and cost effective. And that's what I decided to get started with it. Here we are.
Well, that's good. It probably gave you an opportunity over the years. I think 2007. Did I read that right on your
Yeah,
website?
2007 was sort of
Right.
the very, very beginning, which turned out to be a horrible time at the time. But looking back, maybe it was a great time because, typically with a technology startup, you spend the first few years developing the product, the technological product, before you can even go to market. And that's what we had to do. We had to invent a piece of software, invent a robotic assembly system. And so I got started in 2007, and it was a booming real estate market. And I'm like, this is going to be great. What a wonderful, vibrant market that's growing. So then there was a real estate crash, a year and a half in, and suddenly the market collapsed. But I had already started investing in the technology and the technology product platform. So we kept pressing on, and it was tough because we had no market, and we became ready to go to market around 2009 into a market that had collapsed. So that was really tough. But boy, did I get access to customers. There wasn't a lot of competition from other manufacturers trying to get into these architecture firms at that time. Everybody was pulling back to cut costs. And so actually, looking back, it was a good time. I mean, I remember getting access just with one phone call to, Gensler and getting to do a lunch and learn within 4 weeks.
Congratulations.
Or Robert A.M. Stern down in New York City. those kinds of firms that, ordinarily it might take many months or a year to get a slot, to come in and give a presentation to the firm.
Let's talk a little bit about the design software and the mosaic robotic assembly that Artaic is involved with. If you can spill some secret sauce.
Well, the concept is simple. Think about, with the invention of Microsoft Word on your computer, you could compose a document of multiple pages and you could put text and images on it, and then you could send it to a printer. And we take all that for granted. Compose here digitally, hit the button, it sends the files through the network, and that printer reads those files and puts that ink on that paper. So that's the concept at Artaic. We're just, instead of using ink on paper, we're using physical tiles that we procure domestically and internationally. But you can't buy these tools. So that's what we've invented and continue to iterate to this very day. We design our own mosaic design software called Tilist. I won a research grant from the National Science Foundation to get that started. And, it's an algorithmic tool. It's what you see is what you get, kind of like Photoshop or Microsoft Word. What you're seeing is the image, but behind that, there's an algorithm that's computing the optimal placements of tiles based on tile type, tile geometry, tile color, color variation, and other variables. So, and we have a full service design group at Artaic. We service creatives, designers, architects, artists all around the world from here to collaborate with the client to design and develop and, render a photorealistic imagery of the design concept for that project. We've always had the philosophy to make our proprietary tool compatible with Adobe Creative Suite. Our designers who we hire are very familiar already with Creative Suite. That's the first part. Then, how do you assemble it? So we invented our own file format. If you might use Word and make a file and send it to a printer, you use EPS is the global standard for file format. There was no file format for sending assemble a mosaic file to a printer. So we developed our own format called XML. And then there's the robotics. We're on our 6th generation robot now, if I'm not mistaken. And, each one we design, build, use, learn what worked well, what didn't work well, and then gather ourselves and kind of design and build the next gen. And each time it gets better and faster.
We've designed monument walls, et cetera, for residential projects using tile. And I would say probably an old-fashioned way where we would get the pieces and we would have some sort of schema, but then we would hire the tile installer to do it. It sounds like you've got clients that have a specific idea, or you create one for them and then you send them what, panels? They're already ready to be installed in a larger format?
Good point. So when I was first thinking about Artaic, I was like, well, maybe we'll have this robot on a truck and we'll truck it to the job site and the robot will, crawl up the walls or across the floor. And I was like, nope, that's a bad idea. So it's just not scalable. And as I studied the tile installation industry, I realized that, any tile that's installed that's less than, like a 1-inch tile or less, it's always matted on sheets on a mesh backer. And that tile installers all around the world know how to do that, more or less. So I said, why don't we just ship our custom murals in these 1 square foot sheets that an installer knows how to install a sheet, just number them properly so that, the installer has to put them in the right order. Every mural we make today, be it a 30 square foot kitchen backsplash or a 10,000 square foot public art piece, it's still assembled in nominally 1 square foot modules. So our production system is just cranking out these 1 square foot sheets that get boxed and palletized and shipped out. All of our murals are fitting architectural surfaces, and very few architectural surfaces are identical to one another.
What about your color palettes? You've got glass tile, I would imagine, or is it more porcelain? And are you able to do some custom palettes, meaning within the individual colors, or do you have standard?
I have curated, worldwide, some supply chain for tiles that I think are the best quality in the world. We have this Italian Murano glass, that glass tile is fantastic. Europe has a great glass recycling industry, and there's actually a source of recycled glass tile. It's 100% post-consumer recycled. We love that because the environmental aspect of it. And it's also very durable. It's more durable than the other glass, so it can go on commercial floors. Um, and then we have stone, polished, honed, or tumbled. We have glazed porcelain is a very popular line. We do 1-inch squares of glazed porcelain with beautiful color set. And then we have some more exotics like we have Swarovski crystal. We have gold foil, silver foil tiles. We have some other more exotic kind of thing. We have a historical unglazed porcelain that's made it still in the United States. And we have a more commercial unglazed porcelain that's also made in the United States. So these are the various tile lines. And then, they have each from the factory has what they offer. They have a certain color palette available. Usually, well over 100 to into the 200s of different colors available. And we can do custom colors too. We'll do Pantone or match a physical sampler.
Boy, you get to find out what the Pantone color of the year is and react to that. Huh?
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Your color palettes must be wide and far, and that in and of itself, sort of keeping abreast of how you identify it and how you present it is
at the beginning I said, do we have to manufacture our own tile to be a competitor in the business we want to be in? Most of the other leaders that will do mosaic are manufacturers and kind of got into the artwork stuff as a side thing. Basically, every other tile supplier out there, they're a manufacturer who produces a certain line of product and they sell out of the product line. Here's the catalog and how much of which SKU do you want? But those companies are 95% geared for mass production and 5%, we'll do something custom. We're just the opposite. We are 0%, mass production and 100% custom. We've refined that process now for almost 20 years to make it really smooth, fast, efficient, and pleasurable for the specifier, the designer, the artist.
Well, I like the fact that you've used the word artist, so I would imagine that you've got clientele on both sides, ones that you give designs that you've done before, others that clearly have their own vision.
We've always had interest on the artist side. It'll either be an artist who wants to submit a proposal. Other times it'll be customers who want to have an artist piece, but don't know how to, get it all installed. So we get as much of that as just artists coming to us.
So here's a question for you. And it's probably like asking who's your favorite child. Color versus pattern.
For me, color. And for no good reason. I'm trained as a scientist and engineer and have a lot of background working in optics with space telescopes. So I have a real interest in the optical aspects of things, and color is a huge challenge in my business. None of the tile stock that I work with is truly consistent in color. It's a batch process. And it's virtually impossible to have every batch be exactly the same in color. Typically, before we ship our finished mural out the door, it's gone through, 5 major stages of color checking and control.
I've always sort of surmised that the challenge is with the two different color theories, additive and subtractive, and how a person perceives that, because I would perceive a color completely different than you might in natural light. And that is probably a constant challenge.
It's a constant challenge. It's one that it's sort of impossible to solve it just because of the our inputs are constantly varying. And then in our system here, we have different departments and who use different tools. We have the physical product, we have computer monitors. As we all know, not every computer monitor shows color the same. It's not the computer monitor that's your true reference. When in doubt, reference against the physical gold standard. We've been around long enough. We've made so many mistakes. And the key is each time you make one, it hurts. And then you're like, let's find out the root cause of that, how it happened, and then create a new procedure or solution to avoid it in the future. And so today our processes are just this accumulation of many, many, many stumbles and falls, and
Well, may
yeah.
you continue to stumble and fall in the right direction.
Thanks.
My
Thanks,
last
David.
question for you, what should I have asked you?
Well, good question. I don't know where we're going next, perhaps. I don't have an answer for that yet. I have to think about it. I think, well, one thing I'm really excited about is this tile line, the 100% post-consumer recycled glass. It's just fantastic that it comes from broken car windshields that are otherwise going to go to the dump, and the glass is collected and remanufactured in these beautiful tiles. And I just love that idea of taking something that might otherwise be a waste stream and turn it into, fantastic feedstock or material for our artwork. And we're already seeing a ramp up in orders. And I'm just really pleased that more and more of our output will be a more environmentally friendly output.
Well, I look forward to seeing that product. And as I say, the clothes on the mannequin when you've got something to show off on a finished piece. Thank you for your time today, Ted. Enjoy the
You
weather
too.
in Massachusetts.
All right. You too. Thanks, David. Enjoy San Diego.
The Foundation is produced by Studio Conover and edited by Brett Euler. Studio Conover is a strategic marketing design firm for manufacturers of building products. Visit studioconover.com for more information.